Welcome back from the break, and thank you for staying with us. We have two great guests in the studio today from Stimulus, and they are Mehreen Shoaib and Faraz Khan. So I won't take more of your time, and let's meet them. Assalamu alaikum, assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.
Isn't that really efficient? Assalamu alaikum,
Absolutely.
I get to the point. Stimulus, first and foremost, can I please ask you what it's about and what caused you to come together from Bridging Britain and Navitas and creating Stimulus? Yes, Mehreen, go on. Ladies first.
Ladies first.
Oh, ladies, yes.
That's great. I think Navitas is been in Pakistan for about, well, we're starting our 19th year now. Bridging Britain and us came about together, you know, just like a romance that just clicks, just doesn't think too much. And I think pretty soon we discovered that we had passions that were to take what we have from our whole private backgrounds, working with for-profit organizations, and see how we can leverage with that in a social development context. You know, I mean, if we're so blessed, how much more can we give out of ourselves and still be happy about life?
Absolutely.
And I think with that, in a matter of days, if not too many weeks, you know, all those things that bother you over life, you come to a point and you say that let's start working towards solutions, you know, fixing them, then focusing on issues.
Absolutely. Can I interrupt you here and just ask both of you that what preempts you to get to that point? Because, you know, there's a lot of things that bothers a lot of us. But generally, the majority of us choose to sit and just complain about it or moan about it. What is it that drives you to say, okay, enough? I mean, is it a personality trait? Is it your surroundings? Is it your families? Or is it, what is it? Because what sets you aside from the normal people who actually take that initiative?
On the professional front, I think it's the passion to improve upon the problems that we have around our society at this point of time. I've worked in the corporate field for the past 15, 20 years. Mehreen has worked in the corporate field for the past 15, 20 years. We have done what we wanted to. Aart now, 10 saal pehle, Mehreen had the same thing that, you know, she wanted to do something in the social enterprise, in the social segment. I was coming from the same background. Itni zyada opportunity hai. Itni zyada opportunity. There's so much opportunity at this point of time to improve upon health sector, education sector. You pick up any segment of the society and there is opportunity for the people, with the people, all across by the people and all across the stakeholders. So that's one element that basically I think I can speak for Mehreen as well, that is driving both of us.
And what
But I think I'd also add in that, you know, if you largely look at the developing world, which could be India, Pakistan, Bhutan, Nepal,
Bangladesh,
the whole
etc., yes.
works, the funny part is it's all women intensive. It's all children, youth intensive. The significant part is all women. As women and men, we have our own challenges to face. And I feel as women, because we're thrust upon with a lot of expectation to deal and do a lot of multitasking, we face a different set of issues, and so do men. And facing them, you come to a point when you say that, am I a winner or am I a loser? Am I going to do something about it, or am I going to sit and whine about it? You know? And if I'm so good, you know, like someone said in a movie once, if I'm such hot, then why the can't I move ahead and do something more significant about it?
Absolutely.
So
I like that.
Yeah.
I said that just puts a new perspective. That's it, right? That just answers it all.
Don't take the literal sense of it though.
Yes, not the literal, because
Please.
that's a bit disastrous. Social entrepreneurship, right? What makes you decide, like you said, Faraz, that 200 million opportunities. I mean, any sector that you choose to look at, you can work in it, or it needs some help. What drives the two of you? What focus do you have? Like, where do you feel you want to contribute the most?
We'll talk on the individual fronts, and then we'll talk about the stimulus front. Individually, I have come from the background of banking, basically. 8 years in banking, then became an entrepreneur, then turned into a social entrepreneur. So there has been a progression, a very unintentional one, but a realized one at the end. People say that social entrepreneurship is, whether it's for profit or is it for profit. I'm coming from the perspective that it's absolutely for profit at least in terms of stimulus that we have started.
Excellent.
It is not an NGO. We don't want to work for a charity, but we would like to improve upon the processes, the systems, the overall environment of the development sector, and actually contribute to the efficiency and efficacy of it.
And that obviously makes it much more professional as
Professional,
well.
yeah. Because we are bringing in the private sector expertise, that makes us different. So that's my perspective, and Mehreen, I think.
It's nice, I think, Maaj, Subha, before we came down over here, you know, me and Faraz were like, all right, what is entrepreneurship, you know?
Yes.
And I think a little about 5 years back, or even 10 years back, I could probably say for this, you know, lot, which is the three of us, that this was a distant term that we'd hear, but it didn't really come in front of our face that an entrepreneur, according to centuries-old definition, Faraz, remind me who said this,
But it's like, I don't remember. Stop putting it on.
I forget the name. But it said that entrepreneurs were just people who undertook. Okay? People don't undertake nothing.
And
You know.
let's not confuse it with undertakers.
Yeah,
Okay?
yeah,
Just
exactly.
Undertake.
People
Yes.
who take on something in life, get into a movement or an action or an activity that has an economic bearing, that has a responsible social bearing. And you know, but in earlier times, everything was very simple. It was easy to assume that social work, the whole context from the 300 years back with the United Nations and going into the history, it all talks about, there was the story of the haves and the have-nots. And the haves said that, you know, hamare paas hai, we need to help out. From there on, because, you know, it became bigger and bigger, the poorer became more and more, the developing countries started producing babies by the minute. And somehow with this population explosion, the need for social development and social entrepreneurship came about more and more. People who run charities and foundations also are a part of this society. You need money to survive in life, you know, and there is nothing wrong in having basic requirements, economic requirements, as well as social requirements.
I think it's better
Of course it
if
is.
you have requirements, because
Of
that
course it
is
is.
like a job rather
It
than
is.
Absolutely.
something you do part-time. That's what I always feel.
Absolutely.
And everyone I have spoken to about social entrepreneurships, CSR, it's your expertise. The most efficient CSR and social entrepreneurship is if you have a certain expertise, and we use that rather than just your hours.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
You know, because everyone can give that. Also, I'd like to ask you about this mentality shift that is now coming towards social entrepreneurship. First, it was a very wealthy family, usually very charitable. I feel Pakistanis generally are
They
also
are
very,
very
very
charitable,
charitable and
yes.
generous. But it had a certain sort of coffee morning, rich housewife who wants to give back to society, you know, working for a lot of these associations. And it is now slowly turning into a very efficient,
Structured.
professional, structured
Yeah.
process. What do you think has brought that shift?
Globally, social development का जो perspective है, compared to the national perspective, is slightly different. We're not at that stage at this point of time. Globally, अगर आप American society को देखें, there now people are trying to find real happiness, the purpose, the objective of being. That is simply because they have actually accomplished the basic requirements of life, जिसमें basic amenities, and they are prosperous. And now suddenly when they're prosperous and they don't have anything else to do, now they say, I think we should do something for society. Please, I'm not taking anything away from the people who do things from the basics as well. But I'm talking in terms of majority as a society.
Absolutely. Can I interrupt you here?
Sure.
And just, I realized a while back, if you remember, Chirac's dog bit him, right?
Right.
And I was laughing, I was sitting with my aunt and I said, look at the difference in societies, you know, and
Absolutely.
Nobaji, I was just like, look at this, that they are so cultivated now and they're so sorted out that a poodle is going through therapy for depression and they have
Absolutely.
time for that.
Absolutely. It's
You
a
know,
serious concern.
I was like,
It's a
my
serious concern.
God. I mean, can you see a sort of wider
Yes.
rift?
Difference.
Absolutely.
Acha, can we go on a break here because I don't
Sure.
want to interrupt
Sure.
you as I already have once. But with that, please, we'd like to go on a break. Don't go too far because we will keep talking to Mehreen and Faraz when we get back, so don't go too far.